Hello friends, welcome. I'm so glad you're here with me today. So it is finally fall and I have to give y'all a heads up. This coming week, September 1st, Whimsy will be releasing some fantastic Halloween products. You're definitely going to want to keep an eye out for that. And they will be available for purchase starting September 1st. So we're very excited about it. There's some great new Halloween goodies coming your way. So for today's card, we're actually going to reach back and use some Halloween products that have been in the shop, and I actually used a couple of them just a couple weeks ago, and today we're going to use them for Halloween. So let's go ahead and switch our camera and take a look at what we're going to make. Alright, so I got a little story to tell you about this Halloween shaker card. I'll give it a shake for you. It's got some little green gems in there. I made this card as a, just kind of messing around, and I wasn't planning on sharing it, but then I decided to change up a few things because I'm going to show you the things that I don't like about it that I wanted to change in today's video. So, number one, I felt like my cauldron, you couldn't see it very well. So that was a bother to me. And then the thing that bothered me the most was the white foam tape. I didn't have any foam narrow enough to go around this frame in black, so that just really bothered me, so I was not going to share this, but I found a workaround that is going to be great. Also, my gems on the inside, I love these gems, but I didn't like them in this particular shaker. Hey Shauna, I hope you're having a great day today. I'm glad you came to join me. So, I loved the card, but I had a few things that I wanted to change up. So I think the one we make today, we're going to like even better. So let's take a look at what I used to make this. So not long ago, I used this Scaredy Cat in my Drama Queen card, but today we're going to be using the Little Witch. I'm also going to be using the Spirited Sentiments, and specifically this one here that says it's just a bunch of Hocus Pocus. I thought that was so cute. Hey, that's my husband that just said hi there in the chat. I'm also going to be using the Sheets and Giggles and using a couple ghosts from there. And this set is called the Kitty Extras add-on dies, and I am going to be using the fishbowl die that comes out of this set to be our witch's cauldron. I'm going to be using some of the Buka paper, and I chose this purple piece right here because it just looks like something's boiling up there or exploding. I liked that highlight in that piece. And then I'm also using just a little bit of this green piece to make myself some bubbles. To make my shaped card, I'm using this largest outline of the pierced and stitched circles. I'm also using the second one in, and I'll be using the third one in just one time. Now, one product that I'm going to bring in is some foam, and this foam is actually glitter foam, but if you just had regular foam, that would work as well. And this is what I'm using instead of using the adhesive strips like this. I'm just using a sheet of foam from this package. I've got one pulled out here, so it looks like this. It's just regular foam, and I'll show you what I did. I'll also be using a piece of clear acetate. Alright, so I went ahead and made several of my pieces here. So to make my frame, I die cut my two pierced stitched circles, the two largest ones. I taped them together on the foam and die cut that 3 times. And I went ahead and took double-sided adhesive like this and lined my foam with it on one side, then added my dies and well, sorry, I put the double-sided adhesive, then stacked a piece of foam on top, then put my dies on, and I was able to cut it twice at the same time. And as that ran through the machine, it really had my double-sided adhesive adhere really, really well. So that ended up being a good thing, so I wanted to make sure I told you about it. Then for the next layer to add on, I used a really thin, I got it here, this really narrow double-sided adhesive. I put that around on my doubled, add my acetate circle, then I added one more on top using the thin double-sided adhesive. So hopefully that all made sense, but that's how I made my frame. So the side that is too thick, I'm going to put down, and then this side is the top. That way my shaker bits will have a little more room to shake around. So I want to make sure I put it on there the right direction. I also went ahead and die cut the largest circle out of my patterned paper. I made myself a shaped card base by leaving the top hanging off a piece of folded 6x6 paper. Yeah, you know, Shauna, when I did that, I wasn't really, you know, I didn't do it because I wanted it to adhere real well, but I noticed it really made a difference by sending it through the die cut machine with that double-sided adhesive on the foam that, you know, it's not popping apart like I've had happen in the past. Then I also made this one piece of black just to be my hinge hider. I'm going to add that right here. That way, if I didn't make this piece, when I add this from the back side, you would see that little bit of white up there on the hinge. So by adding this black piece, when I add this piece, you won't see any white on the back. So that's what that's for. All right, so we'll set all these pieces aside until we're ready. I used the third down size to be for my inside, so I can write a greeting on the inside. All right, so now let's talk cauldron. I used my die and I cut it out of black, but like I said, on this card, I felt like my cauldron kind of gets lost in there. So I wanted it to have some shine to it. So this is what we're going to do today. Got my cauldron. I'm going to use some of this product that's called 3D Crystal Lacquer. You can also use some glossy accents, either one of these products, or there's other products out on the market that do this kind of thing. We're going to add some shine and see if that, whoops, helps our cauldron to stand out a little more. So I'm just going to, my crystal lacquer gets clogged so easily, so we're going to try to get that to come out. There it goes. Okay, won't need much. Close that up real well so it doesn't dry out. Oh, I'm going to grab a wet wipe over here just to wipe my fingers off. Once you get that crystal lacquer on your fingers, it's going to stick to everything. I've also got a little paintbrush here. And I'm just going to paint my cauldron with the crystal lacquer. And we're doing this first, so hopefully it will have time to completely dry before we put it on the inside, because we don't want our shaker bits to stick to the crystal lacquer. So that's why I'm doing this first, so it has time to dry completely. All right. There we go. Gonna wipe off my fingers, wipe off my block. And we'll set aside. One thing you want to do with your crystal lacquer if you use a paintbrush is to immediately put it in water. Otherwise that paintbrush is going to get so hard it will never come out. So, all right, we're going to set our cauldron aside to dry. Now, another thing that I didn't love about my first card were the shaker bits in there. I just felt like they didn't give the vibe of like a boiling over cauldron like I wanted. So I found these in my stash, and I thought I would use these in our new one. I really like the greens and pinks. I think that will go well with my paper. So on this card, I also did some embossing. Yes, I loved it. Shauna, you're right. Like, see, you can't see the foam. I was like, I'm going to like it now, because this, I just couldn't stand that white foam showing. All right, so I had some pearlized vellum is what I stamped my little ghosts on. It is just a vellum product that's got a little bit of shimmer to it, but you know, you can use regular vellum as well. And what I like to do, I stamped them in the Versamark, and then I used some silver embossing powder to emboss my little ghosts on the vellum. And I just love it when a ghost, you can kind of see the background through. I think that's fun. If you didn't have vellum, of course you could just use white paper and maybe highlight them with a blue pen or something, but I really liked the vellum. So one thing I like to do when I have these little ghosts is take a marker and color in their eyes. And today I decided to use green. And in order for that to show up really well, I like to do it on both sides. And that just makes their eyes stand out a little better. And we'll do this little guy too. I think I did his yellow in my first card, and I didn't think they showed up very well, so I decided to stick with the green. But that's just something you can do on your ghosts to kind of help their eyes to stand out more. Okay, I've gone ahead and colored up our little witch using Copic markers. And I stamped our sentiment. It's just a bunch of Hocus Pocus on black, and I heat embossed that with white embossing powder. And our final little bits are our little green bubbles. And in the Cat Extra set, die set, I used the little bubbles that are there in the Cat Extras. These are the two pieces I used from that set. Alright, so it looks like I have all of our bits. I'm excited to put this one together and compare it to the first one and see if the little changes I made work for me. I think they will. I'm very excited to see. I really like that this foam was a glitter foam. I think that too will add, it'll help my cauldron to kind of show up. Because the cauldron and the paper are the same color, I thought that didn't work as well. So let's go ahead and glue it all together. Instead of adding my glue to this piece, I'm going to add it to my card. That way I don't end up with glue up there on the top where I don't need it. I'm going to move my little bubbles over so I don't get them stuck to the card. So, y'all are going to absolutely love the new release that's coming your way. I can't wait to get my hands on some of the Halloween products. Got several great Halloween projects coming your way this month. And the design team has been just creating so many fun things. I can't wait for you to see them. And get a chance to work with them, right? Okay. So, I'm going to put that out like that. Let's see how our cauldron is going. Alright, so here's the cauldron that we just did. It's still a little sticky. So I did paint one in advance. That way we would have one to use just in case this didn't dry in time. So the way I did my cauldron is I placed it on here about like that, and I left the end hanging off. So we're going to go ahead and do that again. Because my witch was dwarfed by her cauldron, if I used the whole thing, it kind of took over my card and you couldn't see enough. So I'm just going to add that about right there. All right, now just going to go ahead and trim that off. Oh yeah, I can tell already that the shiny, I don't know if you guys can see it as well, but the shiny cauldron made all the difference. All right, press that down real well. I don't want any of my shaker bits to be able to get caught, so I'm going to press that down really well. And that's true for all of my pieces that I'm going to add. So I kind of wanted my little ghosties to look like they're just coming right up out of my cauldron there. I'll place them about right there. And because this is a pearlized vellum, I'm able to put glue just right around where I put my embossing powder, and it doesn't show up like a regular vellum would. But I want to add my glue all the way around so that my shaker bits don't get caught underneath them. Okay. Place him about right here. Like he's just flying up out of the cauldron. Let's see where our witch, if she's going to cover him up too bad. Yeah, not too bad. I like that. And I did stand her down where her foot is cut off just a little bit. So we'll do her in a moment. So you'll have to tell me. Oh, thanks, Shauna. That's sweet. Really, you would line it with ribbon to cover the foam. That would be tricky. I've done cake decorating where you line the edge of the cake plate with ribbon and use like little pins and hold it in there. I don't know if I would have the patience to do it around a card, but the colored foam did end up working. I was glad that I had some. Get this little ghosty glued on. I love what these ghosts add to this card. I think they're so fun. And I don't know if you can tell on camera, but because it's vellum, you can just see through them enough to know that they're ghosts. And I think that's great. Okay, so now we're going to add our little witch. And I put my tweezers right here because I know that's the part I want to cut off. So I know that that's the foot that I don't want to add glue all the way around. And like I said, I want her glued down really well so that nothing can sneak underneath her edges. So I'm putting the glue all the way out to the edges without going over. Because once you get that top glued on, if something is like going underneath your whatever you've added on there, there's no way to get it off without taking, to fix it. So I'm gonna put her about right there. Press her all down. So I gotta tell you a funny story. When I showed my husband this card, he said, "Why is there a leprechaun on there?" I was like, "What leprechaun are you talking about?" And he said, "What is this?" He thought this was a leprechaun because she had red hair instead of... I said, "No, she's not a leprechaun. She's a witch." So anyway, you'll have to let me know if any of you thought leprechaun when you saw this witch. I thought that was so funny. I said, I think the card makers are going to know it's a witch. Apparently, because she had red hair, it threw him off. But I was like, have you ever seen a leprechaun wearing a witch's hat? So, okay. Now, I'm not putting the top on quite yet, but I'm going to lay my Hocus Pocus right here. That is going to get put on the top. But in order to position my little bubbles coming out of the cauldron, I want to have my title there so that I can just know where my bubbles are going to be seen. I don't want too many of them to be hidden behind the sentiment, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So this one I want to be coming right up out of there. And I'm going to work my way from largest to smallest. So oh, you know, one thing I thought of, and I didn't get it done, but would be fun, is to take one of the cloud dies and cut the cloud die out of this green, and then cut the cloud in half and kind of have it look like it's boiling up, and then have your bubbles start. I thought that was a fun idea. I forgot to do it, but if I make this card a third time, I will try that. Might be a fun addition. Yes, aren't they? They're like, I'm like, seriously, it's a Halloween card, and you go, he thought leprechaun, I don't know. I think you can have a red-headed witch. I was trying to pick up the kind of oranges and reds in the rest of the card. I felt like if I went black, it would just be too close to the cauldron and everything else. So okay, for the rest of these little bubbles, I'm going to add them like that. One here and one on up here. Got the two tiniest. All right. Go ahead, press that all down so there you can see it before we put the top on. I'm going to close up my glue. Oh, hey, that's a good idea. Use this stamp for St. Patrick's Day. There you go. You could definitely color it up to look leprechaunish. I've never thought leprechaun when I looked at this, but okay, I'm going to add in a few of these shaker bits. I can tell already that I'm going to like these better. I'll kind of spread them around a little so that they're not. And you know what? One thing that I liked about this, because I didn't use any of that foam that's going to be exposed, I have a sticky edge, nothing's going to stick onto my, whoops, I gotta, once I start shaking it, there's nothing for it to stick to, so that's going to be another advantage, I think. Okay, so this is the side that's double thick, so I'm going to go ahead and add my foam, or add my double-sided adhesive. I always pull it off too short, so I'm just going to pull off a really long strand here. Move that aside. I was a little bit nervous whether this double-sided adhesive would stick to the glitter foam, and it did just fine, no problem. I was worried whether I would have to, add glue or something like that to get it to hold, but it was no problem, so that's always good. Okay. Okay, one thing I like to do once I turn it around like that is just take my bone folder and run that over, getting all those little bubbles down well. Just kind of burnish it down into that foam. Okay. All right. right, I think we're ready. There we go. Okay, I'm just going to start to pull it off of one end and leave the paper there. Then I'm going to go ahead and position it on my card, hold it in place, and pull the rest of it off. Hopefully, okay, there we go. Burnish that down real well. Again. Oh yeah, what do you think? Well, before we make the comparison, let's add our Hocus Pocus. Okay, I'm just going to get a little piece of this double-sided adhesive tape again. I feel like the double-sided adhesive just works better on acetate and foam than your wet glue. Certainly when you're in a video, it works better because you don't have to wait on that to dry. And I'm going to let it be up like this so I make sure, or at least have a better shot at getting it straight. And we'll put it right in there where I left room. I'm kind of using the top of my cauldron here to help me get that straight. All right. I am definitely liking that better than my first. So let me go ahead and add my little piece on the inside. And I thought about maybe stamping this piece right here with using some lime green ink and stamping a few ghosts maybe coming up out of the bottom. And then I haven't decided what I want my greeting to be inside, but probably Happy Halloween or Happy Haunting or something like that. But I really like how this second one turned out. Just making a few of those changes. Look at that. So I'll hold them up so you can see the cauldron. Can you see how there you go. You can really see it there. And the glitter on the foam, definitely improved. So never be afraid to kind of rework your cards. If you do it the first time and your ideas don't turn out quite the way you thought they would, give it another shot. Change some things up and see how you like it. All right, if you're interested in any of those products, they are listed below the video. I'm just going to check the comments here to see if I'm missing anything. Yes, I've had card, tape runners where the card falls apart too. So, knowing which adhesive to work with which product you're using, sometimes it's trial and error. But those are the ones that I use for acetate and foam. So let me switch my camera back. All right, thanks so much for being here with me. I hope you're getting all ready for making fall crafts and Halloween cards. Here at Whimsy, we just love this time of year, so keep an eye out September 1st because there's going to be lots of fun things coming your way. All right, have a lovely day, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.